Welcome to Time for 14. Today's idea is to get to know your kids. And I know that sounds silly because you're like, of course I know my kids. They're my kid. And I've lived with them for all of these years. And I can tell you that, yes, you do know your kid. But do you know all of your kid? There is a part of every kid, mine included, that they turn on and off around their parents. And sometimes being a parent feels like a little bit of recon work to try to see the parts that they don't want you to see. Some of that can be, especially when you're teenagers, you think like online, right? And think of yourself as a teenager. Your parents didn't see all of you. Mine didn't see all of me. Mine saw a lot. My mom figured out this really great technique that I use with my kids also. Is when you sit down to talk to your kid, there's this, I want to say, pressure on your teenager. I don't know if it's really pressure, but like you sit there and you're at the table and you're looking and there's just eye contact. And to you as a parent, it's not a huge deal, most likely, because it's your child and you love staring at them. And to them, it's like eye contact. So when I was a teenager and my mom could tell that something was bothering me, and she'd ask me, and of course I'd say, no, nothing's bothering me. And so we would go for a walk or we would go for a drive. Like, let's go shopping. Let's go window shopping and have, get chocolate shakes or something. Because then once you're not doing eye contact, but you're still in close proximity, it takes a level off. So like we would go for a drive and I'd be staring out the window and talking and I'd start rambling and I would say stuff that I wouldn't say if I was just sitting there looking at her. Same as, we lived on a gravel road, so going for a walk down the road was nice and enjoyable. And, we had our favorite spots we'd stop, and like the one field where the deer always were, we could stop and look at that. But even if we, had lived in the city and had to go to a park or walk around the block, you're looking at other things and it relaxes your mind a little bit. And as an adult, we might know that more. As a teenager, it hasn't always quite clicked. I knew my mom liked spending time with me, and I knew she tried to make me feel better when I was upset. I didn't realize till later there was a method to her madness. Okay, I'm going to digress with this just a little bit because I want to share the inspiration for this video. I was thinking of things and I randomly thought of a moment that happened to one of my kids at school. And this particular kid of mine I knew was an instigator. And there was a situation at school that the principal had to call me about. Another kid had lunged at my kid while they were, everybody was sitting there nicely. And then this other kid who did have a history of some violent actions had gotten up and lunged at my kid, right? And the school's expectation of my response was that I would be like, oh, my poor baby, or what did you do to the other kid? And it took them off guard when I said, what did my kid do? And they're like, oh, no, they were okay. They weren't hurt. They were, the kid was intercepted, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no. Before the kid lunged at my kid, what did my kid do? I'm like, well, what do you mean? They didn't do anything. They were sitting there. And I'm like, my kid did something. My kid came home from school and I said, I got a call today from the principal. And they were like, yeah, oh, is it about what happened in blah, blah, blah class? I'm like, yeah. So what did you do? And then they told me, yeah, they were taunting the kid. They were sitting there and everybody was quiet and they were like, I don't even remember now, mouthing something or like, doing something. They were taunting this kid. And I said, do you think that was smart? Like, no. Like, why'd you do it? I was bored. Like, no, because now this other kid is in trouble and you're not. But guess what? Now you're in trouble. And that's from knowing. Now think about this. If I hadn't known my kid, the kid would have got away with it. I mean, the other kid would have been in trouble for something. I mean, yes, they shouldn't have charged another kid. My kid shouldn't have been starting stuff. And even the school, once I said that, I didn't follow up with them because they already had an idea of me and I didn't care to defend it at that point. But that's not the point. The point is, my kid also needed to be held responsible. I knew there was a part that my kid played in this, just hearing what happened. And it was important for my kid to be held responsible. I mean, the other kid, obviously, yes. My kid also, because you can't go through life instigating situations, especially with people with violent tendencies, and expect nothing to happen. And this is something that is very important to learn, and the earlier the better. And it comes from just looking around the corner at your kid when they think you're not looking, because that's when you'll see a different side. The reason that I knew that my kid was an instigator is because I'd seen them do it when they thought I wasn't looking. They're not going to do it when they think I'm looking. I mean, they're smarter than that. So just take a few extra minutes sometimes, hold back a minute, when they think you've left. Or it's not being, I mean, it's being a little sneaky, okay, but it's definitely not being manipulative. It's not being, a lot of the negative labels, but it is doing your job, because your job as a parent is to see about how your child is becoming a person. And that leads into their character and their integrity and the type of things that you can't fit on a calendar or schedule in with a coach. And a lot of it starts at home. And a lot of it starts with getting to know the side of your kid that they don't know that you see. And then having that discussion. Like, hey, that was not okay. Whether you got caught or not, that was not okay. In this situation with my child, it was some discussion about, now think about how this affects this other kid. This other kid has a history of getting in trouble. You don't know how close they are to getting expelled. You don't know what's happening at home every time they come home with this. We take the discussion further. Okay, maybe next time you don't get caught. But then still, why should you feel good about that? Why should you feel good about not getting caught if it causes someone else harm? Why is that good? Why is that funny? Just because you got away with something? So at the end of the day, learning who your kid is when they don't think you're looking is super important, because there is a part of them that needs you to know that. So you can help shape their character and help them become a person that they're proud to be, not somebody who chuckles and giggles because they got away with something that doesn't last. And they need to learn that that's really nothing to be proud of.